Good morning, everyone. My name is Brian Goldfarb. I'm the Director of Product Marketing for Windows Azure. I'm here with Scott Guthrie, who runs a lot of Windows Azure on the engineering side, and we just came off the keynote today and wanted to give all of you watching at home some updates on what's happening. So Scott, tell us about the keynote.
Yeah, it was a fun keynote this morning. We had a couple thousand people and a pretty packed house, and got a chance to talk a little bit about Windows Azure, which is kind of Microsoft's cloud platform, and kind of walk through end-to-end sort of what is it, what can you do with it, and then kind of really get down to sort of the nitty-gritty and actually build some code and write some code and show off some cool solutions. And so, starting from Hello World, showing off how to use storage, how to store things, and then showing off some great kind of end-to-end mobile connecting to messaging on-premise kind of demos, and hopefully left people with a pretty good sense of, how it works, what you can do with it, and how to get started.
What do you think your favorite thing you showed today was?
I think one of the things that a lot of people that hear about cloud computing, they often say, hey, it's definitely something at some point I should learn more about, but I don't have an immediate practical use for it today, or I'm too busy right now, or I can't convince my company to actually put something in the cloud because all of our stuff runs in our existing environment. And I think one of the things that hopefully is an eye-opener for a lot of people is, how do I build hybrid solutions where I can take my existing databases, my existing systems that are running inside my firewall, and how can I, for example, build a mobile front end to them so that someone on a tablet or someone on a phone can look up data or subsets of data remotely when they're at home or on the road. And so I demoed two simple examples of that. And I think for a lot of people, they were kind of like, wow, you can do that in just a few lines of code, and it can be fast and secure. Yep, that's one of the benefits of the cloud. I think the other thing that a lot of people are surprised about is, if you're an MSDN subscriber today, a lot of people don't realize you actually get Azure hours and resources built into your MSDN subscription. And so I think a lot of people at the end thought this was great. How do I convince my boss? And I said, are you an MSDN customer? And they said, yep. You don't even need to convince your boss. You've already bought it. It's already part of your MSDN subscription. And I think that also was, whoa, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think the hybrid is important. Just being able to get to the cloud kind of your way on your terms is critical. And speaking of sort of new and interesting things, it wasn't in the keynote today, but yesterday you had a big announcement around open source that I think is worth talking about.
Yeah, so one of the things we announced as part of the keynote yesterday with Scott Hanselman, who actually came up at the very end as well and talked a little bit at, is a pretty exciting announcement we just did this week, which is that we are releasing more of ASP.NET under an open source license. So historically, ASP.NET MVC was released under an open source license, but it did not allow takebacks or community contributions, and it was a license where we basically put the code out at the end of each release, and people could look at it and use it however they wanted to. This week, we kind of announced we're actually now going to be developing ASP.NET MVC Web API and Razor now in the open. So we actually now have a live Git repo that's set up on Codeplex that anyone can actually clone and subscribe to. So you can see all the check-ins from the dev team as they happen. You can see our bug fixes. You can see our resolve rates. You can actually post your own bug fixes and suggestions. And for the very first time, we're also going to allow people to contribute code that we'll then review for possible inclusion in the product. So it still goes through code reviews, testing, performance. We kind of do the same thing that we would for a Microsoft developer. But now for the very first time, we have an open source license that allows the community to contribute directly into the product. And it's just been super exciting the last 24 hours.
Yeah, no, did you see it? There's already been 4 pull requests with people fixing bugs or new features that the community had responded about.
Yeah, so it's great just in the first 12 hours to see people already sending us suggestions and code to actually look at. And it's been on Twitter and Hacker News, and it's been hugely positive in terms of the reception. And the great thing is, ASP.NET MVC is still a Microsoft product. It's still an official product. It has its own installer, ships in Visual Studio, has product support.
So if I just want to get it the regular way, no problem.
So yeah, so if you're somebody who's like, wait a second, I'm not sure about this open source thing. Don't worry, it's just like it is before. But now it does allow even tighter community and customer interaction with our existing dev team. And I think it's going to end up creating a much better product for everyone. And it's been great to see the energy the last day.
So I'm a developer watching online. What should I go do right now?
So the two things I suggest going and doing right now. One is check out Windows Azure. You can go to windowsazure.com in order to learn more, sign up, get started. You can also go to Codeplex and you can check out, I think it's the ASP.NET webstack.codeplex.com, and you can actually check out the new ASP.NET open source project and sync the code, take a look at it. You can run our tests, and even if you never contribute anything, just being part of being able to monitor the actual dev team usage or dev team activity and the code check-ins, I think it's going to be pretty interesting for everyone to be part of.
You know, I synced the code and built it last night, and if I can do it, anyone can. So it's pretty easy. Well, thanks, Scott, for your time. Thanks, everyone, for joining in. See you next time.